There we go. Good morning. Good morning. Nice. A little recording happening here. Good to see you all. Happy Friday to everyone. I'm sure we're all ready for a nice little weekend. It's been a pretty good week as far as markets have gone. There's been some good trading activity, so we'll talk about a bit of that. Let's get right down to the details, though. We've got non-farm payroll creeping up on us in just the next couple of minutes, about 10 minutes away or so. So this is recorded. We'll have a little look at a couple of pairs. Welcome to, I see a lot of names that I haven't seen in a little while, some visitors that are on with us, so very nice to see you guys. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Lots of Mike. Mike, long time no see. Good to have you with us. And I see Yam. Welcome. It's been a while. Good to see you. And lots of great people here as well. But a few, I just want to point out a couple that I hadn't seen in a little bit. So good to see you guys. So we've got a couple of Kevins. Nice to see you. Welcome. Um, Good to see you all, and to all you regular folks. Always nice to have you guys with us. Good to see everybody. Markets are looking interesting. Here's a quick little peek. Remember, we're going to be watching the news specifically for some employment numbers. As always, we're looking a pretty close amount at average earnings. So hourly earnings are always a big deal. We've got a forecast of zero point 0.2, previous number of 0.3. This is kind of a bit of a mixed bag element to all of this, and that is that we can see some pretty good, employment numbers, but if earnings stay low or even get lower, that kind of can soften up even positive numbers. So that's one thing we'll keep a pretty close eye on. The unemployment rate as well. That's getting pretty low. So it's there's three numbers we have to watch, and for all of those to be better than expected is can be a little bit rare, but it definitely has happened and can happen. And for all of those to be negative, definitely can happen as well. So there's kind of this whisper around the markets that it's going to be that our numbers are going to be a little bit better than expected, which kind of takes away the element that they could be better than expected. So, so we're just going to kind of watch and see where everything goes. We are without our cohort in crime, Chris, this morning. He is taking somebody to the airport and wasn't able to make it. So he had a friend in from out of town and has to take him 2 hours to the airport to drop him off. To which I said, "You're a better friend than I. I don't know that I've ever driven 2 hours to pick anybody up or drop them off. So he's probably a better person than I am. So that's why we don't have Chris this morning. So you guys are stuck with me. But we've got some good things to look at as far as setups go. I'm pretty much, we've talked about these all week long. I posted a video every day mentioning all three of these pairs every day this week. I posted charts every day this week. I'm liking a couple of specifics here. So we've got, you can see we have euro dollar right here. We're definitely watching this euro dollar, and we're looking for a couple of important levels there. We're definitely watching New Zealand dollar / Australian dollar for a couple of different reasons. I kind of like New Zealand dollar. I think the setup's a little bit cleaner, but the Australian dollar is in kind of an important area. We'll have a peek at that in just a moment. And then we're watching the dollar yen. We've been talking about dollar yen like crazy. So these three pairs we're keeping an eye on. Just a quick look real fast here. Euro dollar, in the video yesterday, I talked about the fact that I think euro dollar looks pretty interesting to start looking for some opportunities to short this pair. So it's remember we've got a good high bar count on this 4-hour chart. We haven't touched the moving average in a long time, which is an important factor. We've got some important trend lines to watch here. We've got long-term levels that have reacted very nicely. Some nice candles that are candlesticks that are looking pretty uneasy about heading higher. But there's going to be some chop in here. There's definitely going to be some chop. We've got some wicks. We've got this little hammer poking in here that's not super encouraging for really any direction just yet. But I do like the fact that we're getting pretty extended. We've got this big trend line here that hopefully we're going to start getting back below soon. On the short-term chart, I've got a chart alarm set here on this hourly just for 120. So 120 is kind of the level that I think is going to be super interesting to watch. And if we can test that and reject off that a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised even to see a double top. Um, then that's going to make for some interesting potential um, movements there. So we'll see how this euro dollar goes. I think it could be very good for either strength or weakness. You can see we have a little bit of a kind of a short term trend line we can keep an eye on right there as well. This level, 118 about 30, has turned out to be something semi important. So we're going to kind of watch this for the long term. We may get a little retest of that. We'll watch that level, though. That's been tested multiple times and definitely looks pretty interesting. And then we'll watch 120 daily pivot right there. Won't be surprised to see that spike up and get hit. Remember, NFP can definitely drag out, throughout the entire day, and we might just see things. We might see things play out for several hours from non-farm payroll. So it's going to be worth keeping an eye on. We'll see where it goes and kind of how it plays out. Okay, so that's euro dollar. Quick look at dollar yen. We're watching this guy for. Remember we talked about dollar yen in kind of this lower area here, looking at 108 and change. That level held very nicely, nice double bottom there. So we're looking to see if this dollar yen is going to be able to kind of head higher and make its way up. We've got a nice little level here. That was kind of our breakout. So we had that little double top with the trend line. We consolidated around there, made a bit of a bull flag, broke, ran up. We're going to see how it retests this. We got a monthly pivot down here that could very easily be tapped. So we're just going to kind of watch that area and see how that behaves. And then as far as the Aussie dollar goes, we've got some Aussie dollar business happening right here. It's gotten pretty choppy in the middle of this little consolidation. So we've got all this consolidation that takes us back a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks or so, that it's just been sideways and it's tested pretty perfectly. You can see these levels right here on this 4-hour chart, these wicks that have happened. It's tried to make this close below about 78.80. It's failed to close right, yeah, about 78.85 or so, and we've had these tests with these long wicks. So movement down below that's going to be worth keeping an eye on for sure, as well as if this holds one more time and we start to see some dollar weakness, Aussie strength again, that could be an area to trade off of. But I'm really much more interested in seeing the movement below that 78.80 and seeing if we can get a retest or a test. We haven't really retested this level much of 77.50. So looking for that move down to 77.50 through that area. That's kind of the ideal scenario that I'd like to see there. I don't think I'm going to try to buy this Aussie dollar, above this area just yet. I'd really like to see it break down below. That's probably a better buy area is at 77.50. Okay, so just a quick little recap of that. Let's be ready to watch a few of these guys. We'll just watch them on the 1-hour charts here. Watch the euro dollar here. We'll watch. We've got New Zealand dollar and dollar yen. So those are all ready to go. I've got some multiple chart alarms set across the board. See how everything plays out. Good morning, AT245. Sounds like a pretty intense name. I know Joseph, right? Joseph, nice to see you. UC back up. Yes. Boy, all these usernames. I don't know. I can't even pronounce them. But if you're referring to dollar CAD or dollar Swiss franc, definitely liking both of those, and we'll talk about those as well. So let's get rocking and rolling. I'm going to mute this for 2 seconds. I'll be right back with you guys, and let's see where this news takes us. Okay, guys, we're just a couple of minutes away, about 2 or so minutes away from the news. We'll see how. I'm just going to have a couple of sources up here, and we'll keep an eye on the news as it comes. I've got a couple of computers sitting here with me, so we're going to be watching again the three numbers. We're not going to try to do any kind of immediate entry for sure. We're going to let this news hit. We're going to let that kind of reaction happen. If we have to drop down to a lower time frame for a little move somewhere in there, we'll do it. We might watch, a 1 or 5 minute chart on something, but I'm kind of more interested in some of these bigger levels here. So little trend lines, looking for some breaks. I've got chart alarms set everywhere on everything, and that's kind of where I want to. That's kind of where I want to focus our energy. So let's see where these guys go. These couple of pairs over the next couple of minutes here. 1, 2, 3 minutes. Let's see how this plays out. So we're coming up. Anyone have any guesses on some numbers? You can see NFP is expected to come out a little bit lower than the previous number. We had a big surprise, a pretty big surprise, on ADP numbers on Wednesday. There we go. There we go. Let the chart alarms, let them come. Let them come. Okay, so we're seeing an initial spike, plenty of dollar weakness to kind of start this off just a little bit. Let's see how these numbers are looking. What do we have? Ooh, quite a bit lower than expected there, and lower than last month's numbers, so that's a bit of a surprise. 156, we'll see how that revision turns out, if those numbers get revised. Um, Out earnings, it's just across the board lower than expected. So earnings lower, employment numbers lower, unemployment rate gets worse. So there you have that little situation. So let's watch these for just a couple of moments. Let's see where these guys are headed, and what we need to kind of look at here. I don't mind the fact that we're seeing some dollar weakness. I think this gives us a pretty good opportunity to probably get some better entries in the coming day or two on, on euro dollar, on on dollar yen. I like both of those, and we'll keep an eye on that Aussie dollar as well. Um, so euro dollar strength, we're seeing some strength there. We're seeing the dollar yen's headed through that little area that we talked about right there. So a little bit of support right in that zone. We'll see how that plays out in the next moment or two. We've definitely got some euro dollar weakness, or excuse me, some euro dollar strength with some dollar weakness there. We'll see how that 120 gets tested and looks. But I still, I'd like I said, I'd like to see 120 hit. I'd like to see 120 even broken through a little bit. I wouldn't mind to see if we get up into 120.50 again, or maybe even 120.100. Could be interesting. So we're going to watch a couple of these pairs. We'll keep an eye on as well. New Zealand dollar is kind of moving the least. I think New Zealand dollar is a better opportunity for dollar strength, so we're going to keep an eye on that. I'm not really too gung ho about buying into New Zealand dollar just yet. I think that's a better opportunity to probably sell and trade down. Let's see. Let's see how this dollar CAD is moving around here. Ooh, there's some movement there. So lots of. Let's just have a look at this dollar CAD real quick. Dollar CAD has made this pretty intense run right there. Definitely still holding on to that Canadian strength. Um, and just a perfect trend here. This thing has pulled back and hit that 200 moving average over and over and over, taking out lows now. Definitely a good opportunity for some pullback potential here. So I think it's probably a good bet. Let's keep an eye on. I'm gonna watch dollar CAD and euro dollar here for a couple of moments. Um, and there we go. Let's see if we can keep a little eye on these guys. I think, as you guys know, we'll look occasionally at a like a 1 minute chart. We'll see this kind of movement right here, which is pretty interesting to kind of watch and see how that behaves. And we can usually get some amount of interesting pullback. So if we do get a little bit of pullback, kind of 23, 30, 38% area, oftentimes these can make this kind of movement here. A little pullback and a nice little continuation. So we're going to watch that on that euro dollar. But it does need, it's consolidated a little bit. We do need to see a little bit of pullback on that. If it just kind of continues pushing higher, it'll be kind of tricky to get into. But let's watch it for a moment. We'll keep an eye on this dollar CAD as well. Let me just look at this little 1 minute around the dollar CAD also. Let's see if one of these can give us a little bit of meaningful retracement, and then hopefully an opportunity to buy into something here. So dollar CAD looks interesting. It's consolidating. It's pulling back. So let's see what either of these do in just the next couple of moments. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that kind of the short-term movement is going to be interesting on a couple of these pairs. I won't be surprised to see, even though we're seeing some pretty bad across the board dollar numbers here. So lower than expected earnings, lower than expected jobs, worse than expected unemployment rate. I'm not going to be surprised to see some dollar strength kind of pop up later in the morning for whatever reason. So yeah, dollar CAD is looking a little bit wild, headed to the deep ocean. Um, yeah, dollar CAD's on quite a tear. Let's see if we have any revised numbers here. Okay, so revised numbers down just a little bit on employment. That was 209. They bumped that down to 189, so that makes this month's number not as bad in comparison, but um, it's still a pretty decent dip on dollar stuff here. So yeah, pretty soft numbers. Pretty soft numbers. Let's see how these guys behave. Let's kind of see what happens here. I think this dollar CAD. I think this dollar CAD looks kind of interesting here. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to see if we can get a little bit of confirmation. Let's see if we pull back to 38. If it goes too much beyond that, um, this might be just kind of a slightly bigger reversal here. But I think these are both pretty interesting pairs to see if we can get a little bit of fib retracement, which we are. And see if we can get a couple of pips of continuation. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, to see the euro dollar pull back and then just give us one more stab towards 120 before kind of making its continuation there. So if we go to that high, we'll just extend it to that high right there on that euro dollar. And we'll watch dollar CAD and we'll see if these guys, right around that 38% fib, if they can make a turn for it, we can keep some tight stops and see if these will play out and make a continuation for us. So let's watch for just a moment. These are definitely kind of tricky little setups here. These short-term news trades can be a little bit wild. So let's just see where these go for a couple of minutes, and hopefully we'll get some decent confirmation. Ooh, okay. There we go. So there's a little tap. There's that 38% fib. It's looking a little heavy, so we're not going to jump any. There we go. And again, for the bigger picture, I'm not going to be surprised to see some dollar strength poke poke through here. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Okay, so dollar's kind of holding, it's hanging. Okay, so that's a nice little that's a nice little tap of that 38%, or yeah, 38% fib. Push through just a little bit. Let's see how this. This is only a 1 minute chart, so let's see how that kind of hangs in there, and if that's able to kind of hold, and then we could potentially be looking at an entry in the next minute or so on this euro dollar. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that 120 get hit, but we want to be a little cautious. Non-farm payroll can be a little bit of a tricky sucker. Dollar CAD is sitting nicely at that 38% fib. Let's see where this thing goes. Let's see where both these guys go in the next moment. Euro dollar's looking good. So let's keep our eyes on this euro dollar. Those are two positive candles right there that we wanted to see. So that's hanging in there pretty well. Nice little dip, nice little continuation. Let's look. Let's see. We've got a low right there about 1949, 119.49. So and here we are around 119.65, about 15 pips off a low. Definitely a good little move off that 38% fib. Let's see if this can pull back just a hair, and I might look at taking a buy trade just against that low to see if we can at least retest these highs of about 1980. We got about 1980 for the high. Ooh, geez, Louise. Oh, well, there we go. There's that, and that, folks, is why we wait. So, good heavens, did we get some? Is there some different Euro news that I'm missing? That is kind of crazy. We're definitely not seeing that kind of dollar movement. Um, okay, so we are no longer looking for any kind of buy trade on that euro dollar. That was holding there pretty nicely until we saw just a 50 pip drop for no super apparent reason. That's wild craziness. Wow, that is interesting. All right, let's have a peek. Let's go to this. Interesting. All right, so there's potentially that dollar strength after all, making its comeback there. That was a pretty dramatic move. How is our dollar CAD looking? So pretty big pullback on that dollar CAD as well, but hanging in there much more steadily than that than that euro dollar. That was kind of crazy. Does anybody have any headlines? I'm not seeing anything just yet. Yeah, interesting what that news was. It definitely looks like it was some, as we say, something. Tony, 1978 key fib level. Great, excellent. Definitely good reaction to that. Quite a wild reaction on euro dollar. Dollar CAD seems to be doing okay with dollar strength and or excuse me dollar weakness for the bad employment numbers. That turned out to be good, but definitely yeah, could have been some inside activity for sure. Because man, that thing went totally crazy. So we're basically so basically all the euro dollar has done is headed back into pre-release prices. So we're not going to try to do too terribly much on this euro dollar for the moment. That could have been our spike higher to kind of buy that thing. I was looking for a spike, pullback, another spike, and then kind of short that at a higher price. Definitely didn't want to short that at kind of the initial spike. But looks like that would have been a decent move. So we'll steer clear of that one for a couple of moments. We'll kind of see how that plays out. I'm going to watch and kind of load this trend line and see what kind of reaction we get, because I still ultimately feel really good about being short euro dollar. Let me just remind myself what this is. Trend line breakout down. That way, if I'm stuck on the beach or something and I got my phone, I can start looking for selling opportunities here. So Eurodollar looks really good. How are we seeing some of these? How is the dollar looking against a few others? Aussie dollar. So that was like more Euro news related stuff. It looks like because I did get an alert on the euro pound, which is making a stab. By the way, I love this level. I think it's a great level. Nice spot to be shorting this pair. And I know most in our trade group are already short euro pound. I'm short a couple of positions as well, um, as of this recent kind of movement here, um, and that one's behaving very nicely. Um, yeah, interesting. Kevin, yeah, euro. Well, we definitely had some euro. There was something fishy going on there. Some fat finger trade stuff on euro or something. I don't know what the news was. Something definitely happened. Now, if it did take people's orders, we're seeing some pretty good, some pretty good euro movement across the board. That was a pretty nice little spike there. Um, for those that were kind of specifically following our bigger picture analysis, that euro move was perfect because all I've been talking about in this euro dollar is shorting shorting the bigger moves up. Now, of course, in the more near term, short term stuff, I wanted to see if I could buy that up just a little bit higher. Didn't end up getting into anything long on this one, but the big picture I think still holds very nicely, which is sell the euro dollar at higher prices. But yeah, that was a pretty dirty, pretty weird kind of movement there. And so far, the euro dollar is showing all this weakness on euro, which doesn't necessarily seem to be translating into any dollar strength anywhere else. So we have movements higher, pound dollar, movements higher, New Zealand dollar, everything. Dollar CAD is continuing lower. It's slowed down just a hair. Dollar yen continuing. I mean, we have dollar weakness across the board everywhere except for on euro dollar. So that makes for an interesting little situation here. Where did my let's see, dollar CAD. Okay, let's have a little peek at the dollar index. See how that guy's looking. Um, yeah, dollar index is hanging in there. Dollar index definitely is mimicking the euro dollar much more, and it is heavily weighted towards euro dollar. So kind of an interesting morning. Very, very strange to see that kind of movement. Everything else, lots of dollar weakness. Euro dollar, dollar index showing basically a completely different picture, which makes things seem a little bit strange. Um, okay, Steve, there you go. A little news. ECB said to see chance QE plan not fully ready. Yeah, that's definitely some euro. That's definitely some euro movement for sure. Yeah, happy to see that euro pound sell working out. Yep, I'm in it as well, and I know a lot of group members are, and a lot of people have been in it for a while, and that is just playing out beautifully. So we love it. We love it. And this euro dollar just continues to tumble here. So that makes for an interesting little setup, interesting little situation this morning. As far as it doesn't put a ton of confidence into wanting to trade any dollar strength when you see something dollar related going such the opposite direction. Now, dollar CAD looks interesting, and I feel a little better about this situation. If we do see some dollar if we do see some more dollar kind of weakness happening here, then I think dollar CAD could be very interesting at a trend line break. So we could call that a 1 minute trend line. Okay, so dollar CAD looks a little more interesting now, a little more steady. Um, and something that, if we see this kind of a movement, maybe for a little short term, we could retest those lows right there. That's a pretty bad low. Let's try that again. Lows. There we go. That's better. So okay, we'll keep an eye on that dollar CAD. We've got a chart alarm set right there, and I'm pretty interested in watching euro dollar on this side of things. I think that's going to be interesting. If that really turns around and starts to take a big push like it has been doing even further, whoo, it's a good looking chart there. Okay, guys, a pretty interesting morning. Um, Good, Dave. Good, good. What is gold doing this morning? Because I think did gold make a nice little spike higher? Let's just look at those numbers real quick. 1322. I think gold's getting interesting for especially we see bad U.S. numbers. We see initially some dollar weakness, but ultimately it's kind of turning around and playing out towards some dollar strength. So that's definitely interesting, and that's telling us a little bit of something. If we look at gold on this chart, I think overall, I think I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be ready to be shorting gold pretty soon here. So you've got this chart right there. I think gold is going to be an awesome opportunity to trade back down. It's kind of it's making these squeeze everybody out spikes. We had this big run here above this. We had a triple top, which it broke above, and I think that's going to be the thing that gets everybody into gold, and then it's just going to turn around and stop everyone out, clear all the bigger, longer term positions, and head right back down again. Now, if on the other hand, gold does something like this and runs down, maybe takes out that monthly pivot, holds that 1295 area, doesn't break below, and then rejects, and gives us some sort of trend line we can look for, and that could be a decent opportunity as well. But there's going to be some big decision point there, and depending on how high this goes, this trend line break could be pretty significant for that movement back down. I mean, if this thing continues to consolidate and say breaks that trend line around 1330, 1340, 1350, and starts to head back down to that 1300, 1295 area, I would definitely consider shorting gold down to that and then making that decision at 1295 of what it's going to ultimately continue doing. So gold's an interesting one for sure. Good, targeting 1305 today. Good work. Nice work on that, David. Okay, guys. So let's just keep our eyes on these guys. I'm looking for man, a lot of interesting movement here. A lot of kind of choppy. Euro dollar's been a little bit of all over the map here. Um, let's go back to that. Let's go back to that dollar CAD. So we've got euro dollar. We've got dollar CAD. Dollar CAD. I guess my trend line's down though. Which is strange. How did that thing disappear? All right. Well, dollar CAD is definitely um, looking interesting still, but euro dollar. I mean, I'm not feeling so inclined to do too terribly much just yet. That's a lot of uncertainty. Perfectly exactly back to pre-release news price. So this dollar CAD looks maybe a little more interesting to see some dollar weakness, trade that lower. So I'll probably short that dollar CAD below this trend line. I'm going to sit tight on this euro dollar for a moment. If we test those highs again, I'm probably just going to look for a nice opportunity to short that pair. Don, thanks, Don. Nice to have you with us. Uh, yeah, have a great weekend as well. Don, which, where, let's see, oh, we already lost. All right, nice to have you, Don. I think of which Don that was. Okay, guys, so those are kind of the two pairs I'm going to watch pretty closely. Any pushes higher on euro dollar, I'm going to look for any kind of opportunity to sell this pair, and especially I love this spike here, and all I want to do really ultimately is be short euro dollar. So we'll see how the news kind of plays out, but if we see that kind of movement, this euro dollar is going to be something that we want to keep a pretty good eye on. So watch for this kind of movement, right? We've got a lot of choppy. I mean, there is such a lack of direction and decision on that candle, and that's what we like to see. So if we do get kind of that type of movement, let's be ready to short this euro dollar at a trend line break and really start to kind of take this thing downtown. So we're looking at some pretty good little areas here. And again, of course, the euro dollar, after we get some short term confirmation, starts taking us into a much better longer term kind of push as well. Pretty extended hourly or 4 hour chart, 200 EMA is looking pretty good there, and ultimately getting us back below some of this stuff on the right side of this trend line. It's going to be a slow turn. I mean, you can count on that. But as that does start to turn and start to make its way back below the trend line, we should get some pretty decent movements back down on this euro dollar. So for me, I'm watching this trend line, which might break in the next couple of moments here. And I'm just going to look and see if we can get some crawling up that trend line, and kind of be ready to take it from there. And then dollar CAD again, short-term chart. I think that's a pretty interesting, pretty interesting little quick play, unless it retraces too much. So it's kind of right at that 50% right now. Let's see where's my fib. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're tapping on that 50% fib. Anything too much higher than that, and I'm probably not super interested in the short term. But if we can hold that, break that trend line, I'll short dollar CAD for a couple of pips. That trend line breakout could be around 123, 80-ish area, and that low is around 123.40. So I'll happily, try to grab 25 to 30 pips on that movement down if we get it. So dollar CAD on the 1 minute, um, and we'll go with some euro dollar on this 1 hour, which is looking pretty wild and crazy. How's that? Nice move on. Nice break on euro pound. Nice break here. Aussie is really spiking all over the place, but that's looking good. Um, euro again. Good heavens. So definitely some crazy moves. Definitely some crazy moves on these euro pairs. Remember, guys, we've been in short. We had entries as high as 9,300, which turned out to be pretty darn good on euro pound. And then there's been entries kind of throughout this area as well. So that euro pound is playing out nicely. Glad we have some nice little entries on that. Let's see if we can get on this. Let's see if we can get on this euro dollar. I think there's going to be something worth trading here. So let's see how that guy works out. Hey, thanks, Lance. Nice to have you. Is anyone else having problems with audio? Anyone having audio problems? Lance or Joseph there having a tough time with some audio. It seems to be coming through okay for everyone else. Okay, audio's good. Yeah, that's a good point, Scott. Yep. First day of the month, Friday, holiday weekend. Is there anything else we could add to the mix? I mean, good heavens. Good point. All right. Okay, guys. So that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for. So these are the trades to keep an eye on. Watch this euro dollar. Watch for some consolidation. See if we can get a little breakout there. Watch this dollar CAD. Anything on dollar CAD that can kind of if we can hold this zone pretty well and not really head much above 124. as long as it stays below about, I'd say 124.95, maybe 125.00 at the most, and then breaks that trend line, I like dollar CAD for that. So if it can kind of just stay at this level, break that trend line, let's look for a little sell trade with some very tight stops on this thing and see if we can get this back down towards these lows. So just keep an eye on that. We've got the euro kind of playing its own tune over here, so there's going to be a little bit of a different story on that euro dollar. So that's where we're going to be looking for some continued euro, weakness. But if we do see some continued dollar weakness, which it's mixing around a little bit on a couple of different pairs, then let's sell this dollar CAD, trade this down, see if we can get a double bottom around 123.40, and just tight stops, right? So if this breaks that trend line, say around 123.85 or so, that trend line could be anywhere around 123.80, 85. Then just have stops above that high, so you'll have 10 to 15 pip stops, nothing too crazy there. So that'll be a nice little one to look for. So we'll watch for some breakout movement and some trades down into that spot there. So we just don't want to see dollar CAD head too much higher. If it does, I'm not going to trade that trend line break. So anything, like I said, above about 124.00, I'm not going to even try to trade the trend line break. But if it kind of can hold this area break, let's sell this and grab some pips on that side. Euro dollar coming down pretty strong. Pretty strong. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to be watching this morning. I'm going to be keeping an eye on a bunch of other setups and trades and things as well. And I'll keep members updated on all of that. Thanks for joining us, friends, visitors, guests. Nice to have you guys with us. We're going to keep an eye on these levels. We'll see where they go. If anyone would like to see how we kind of trade the rest of this stuff and how we trade throughout the week, you can head on over to daytradersfx.com. You can get a free trial. Check us out. 2 weeks free to trade with us in the live trade group. Just click on that join button. You can get a little more explanation of what we do and some of the details. Excuse me, some of the details there. So I'll post that in link. If you guys want to do a little test drive with us next week, go ahead. There's the link. We'd love to have you. It'd be great to have you guys with us. Otherwise, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, a great holiday week. Monday for members, and of course I'll send out the email on this. But Monday we're not going to be trading because it is Labor Day, and I've got a serious sunburn I got to work on. So we're gonna jump in on some of that. Then we'll continue our regular schedule on Tuesday. So no trading Monday. Of course, we'll be kind of checking in Monday night. To kind of see how everything played out, but we'll have our regular details back on Tuesday. So, thanks everybody. Have an awesome weekend. A great little holiday break there. Keep an eye on euro dollar. Keep an eye on dollar CAD. Both of these should turn out to give us some trade opportunities this morning. But definitely want to see some dollar CAD breakouts, some dollar CAD weakness. See if this thing can movement downward. See if we can grab a couple of pips out of this thing. Should be a nice little trade. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Have a great Friday. We'll catch you guys back here next week. Thanks, guys. Take care, all.